Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you with a message that is not simply for inspiration. It is for preparation. What I'm about to share is not entertainment. This is not motivation for the moment. This is a divine alarm, a spiritual alert, a call to awareness before the world shifts under your feet. Watch this before it happens. Why? Because by the time it happens, it will be too late to prepare. The window will close. The season will shift. The silence will break. And only those who are watching will be ready to move. Everything in creation moves by patterns. Seasons don't ask permission to change. Storms don't knock before they come. Destiny doesn't wait for convenience, and neither does disruption. Before anything significant happens in the earth, whether in your life, in your family, in your nation, in your generation, there is always a whisper, a warning, a moment when heaven tries to get your attention before history gets your reaction. This is that moment. You must understand this. Every human being carries the future inside of them. The future is not ahead of you. The future is trapped inside you, waiting to be released. But if you're not aware, if you're not watching, you'll miss the signs of your own time. Many people are distracted by entertainment, addicted to convenience, sedated by comfort. But watchers are different. Watchers are seekers. They listen when others scroll. They fast when others feed. They move when others freeze. So I'm here to awaken the watcher inside of you. Don't look at the surface. Look for the signal. Don't wait for the crowd. Move with the cloud. Don't live reacting to headlines. Respond to the voice behind the scenes. Watch this before the breakdown. Watch this before the opportunity closes. Watch this before your assignment is reassigned to someone else. This is a now moment. Don't let delay disguise itself as wisdom. Don't let fear talk you out of bold decisions. Don't confuse procrastination with prayer. Some things don't need confirmation. They require activation. Ask yourself, what vision have I buried? What idea have I shelved? What door have I been waiting to open when I already have the key in my hand? You don't need another sign. You need courage. The reason we say watch this before it happens is because preparation is the proof of expectation. If you really believe something is coming, if you truly believe breakthrough is near, you prepare like it's already here. That business, start planning it. That book, start writing it. That calling, start walking in it. That transition, start packing for it. That change, start praying over it, then act on it. There is a stirring in the spirit realm. Something is shifting. And while others are trying to figure out the trends, you must be discerning the times. Because the future is not waiting for the passive. It's reserved for the prepared. Watch this before it happens. And it will happen. You will either be the one who saw it coming or the one who asks, what just happened? And I declare, you will not be left behind in this season. You will not miss your moment. You will not sleep through your own awakening. You will rise, you will see, you will move, and you will build what others only dreamed of, but only if you watch, before it happens. The first and foundational key you must grasp is this. Everything significant begins in the invisible before it appears in the visible. What you cannot see controls what you eventually will. Before anything shows up in the physical world, before it arrives on your calendar, on your bank statement, in your health, in your relationships, it first exists as an idea, a pattern, a spiritual reality. If you wait to see it before you believe it, you are already too late. The world has trained us to react to events, but the wise, the watchful, the discerning, they respond to vision. They live by insight, not eyesight. This is why watching is more than observing. It is discerning. It's more than paying attention with your eyes. It's perceiving with your spirit. You must learn to see with a different set of lenses, because the greatest moments in your life will not begin with announcements. They will begin with agitation. The shift you've been praying for won't start with fireworks. It will begin with frustration. The signal you're waiting on might not sound like a trumpet. It may feel like restlessness, discomfort, or discontent. That is heaven's way of disturbing your comfort so you don't die in convenience. That irritation you feel, that pull in your soul, that nudge to move even though nothing looks wrong on the outside, that's not confusion. That's direction in disguise, but only the watchers will recognize it. You see, preparation begins long before the platform, God never brings rain to a field with no seed. The future doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your readiness. So when you are watching, you are not just looking. You are aligning your mind, your schedule, your values, your decisions, your inner posture. Watching is an act of warfare, it says. I may not see it yet, but I am acting like it's already on the way. Watching means you study the times like a soldier scouts the terrain. You analyze patterns. You don't just pray for a breakthrough. You position yourself for it. You prepare your hands, your heart, your habits. You understand that heaven never wastes oil on vessels that aren't positioned. There are moments when doors open, and if you are not ready to walk through them, they close and may not open again for a long time, or ever. Life is seasonal, and seasons don't warn you before they change. But watchers are never caught off guard, because watchers don't depend on their natural environment to validate what's coming. They sense it. They prepare in advance. While others are still dancing in delay, the watchers are moving in destiny. They are building before the rain, not during it. Like Noah, they look foolish at first, but they end up being the ones people run to when the storm comes. When you're truly watching, you understand that silence is not absence. Delays are not denials. Hiddenness is not rejection. Sometimes the greatest move of God in your life is happening quietly, beneath the surface, where no one can see. And that's why watching requires faith. It's the ability to keep your focus on what has not yet appeared. It's the discipline to keep building when nobody claps for you. It's the ability to move without applause, to prepare without praise, to believe without proof. The world tells you to wait until you see the opportunity. But if you're a watcher, you become the opportunity. Do you know why some people keep missing the moment? It's because they are watching with the wrong mindset. They are watching for a miracle instead of watching for instructions. They are watching for something to fall in their lap instead of watching for what they are called to build. You were not created to chase blessings. You were created to become a blessing. But you cannot bless what you are not ready to lead. And you cannot lead what you have not prepared for. Watching trains you for responsibility. It matures you before visibility. It teaches you to steward before you shine. There are prophetic moments in your life. Open windows when God accelerates time, when things align suddenly, when doors you couldn't force open start to swing on their own. But those moments only benefit the prepared. Others will call it luck. But watchers know it's not luck. It's labor. It's legacy. It's leadership in hiding. It's what you did when no one was watching that positions you when everyone is watching. Watching is your secret weapon. It protects you from reacting in crisis. It helps you recognize when something looks good but isn't God. It guards your focus, trains your ears, sharpens your senses. You are not just here to witness history. You are here to shape it. But shaping history starts with perceiving divine timing. It starts with the discipline of watching. Watch this before it happens, because by the time it does, it won't be. A conversation anymore it'll be a consequence. A turning point, and in that moment you won't have time to get ready. You'll have to be ready. The ones who watch now will lead then. The ones who discern today will influence tomorrow. And that is why this first key is not just a principle. It's a prophecy. The second key you must grasp is this. Your environment is shaping your expectation. If you are not careful, where you are will blind you to where you are going. Everything around you is either feeding your vision or feeding your fear. Atmosphere is not neutral. It is either pulling you higher or lulling you to sleep. That's why you must become radically intentional about what surrounds you. You cannot afford to live passively in a world that is aggressively shaping your mindset. Most people are trapped, not because of who they are, but because of where they are. You may not be in chains physically, but you're in bondage mentally, and that bondage was crafted by the environment you tolerate. Think about this deeply. You cannot grow corn in a desert. You cannot raise eagles in a cage. Vision dies in the wrong atmosphere. Calling gets crushed in the company of small minds. Purpose suffocates in toxic settings. Your future is too precious to be buried under cheap conversations and comfortable routines. Your dream is too divine to survive in shallow circles. If you don't protect your environment will poison your destiny. You must be more loyal to your purpose than your past. Some of us are more committed to familiar surroundings than to future callings. But hear me clearly, you cannot reach your next if you're still anchored to your now. There comes a moment when you must choose discomfort over stagnation. You must decide that peace is more important than popularity. Growth is often violent to your comfort zone. It will require detachment, realignment, and separation. If the space you live in doesn't stretch you, it's shrinking you. If the people around you don't challenge your thinking, they're caging your becoming. Look around. What are you allowing that's slowly killing your fire? What voices do you keep listening to that keep you doubting yourself? What habits are you normalizing that are quietly numbing your potential? Change always begins with environment. The first thing God did with Abraham was move him out of his country, away from his kindred, and away from his father's house. Why? Because some environments carry old limitations. Some places keep you tied to old identities. And before God can bless you with a new future, he has to break the grip of your familiar past. That means your upgrade begins with an exit. You cannot possess the new while still pacifying the old. You can't soar while still holding hands with your former level. You can't enter the next door while dragging the baggage of past seasons, and yes, it's going to hurt. Growth is always painful before it's powerful. You will be misunderstood. You will be called arrogant. You will lose some people, but what you lose in company you gain in clarity. What you lose in comfort you gain in character. There are some people who are not bad. They're just not built for your next chapter. You are not designed to carry everyone forward. Some connections are for a season, not a lifetime. When you outgrow a space, it doesn't mean you're better. It means you're becoming. Your future requires a greenhouse, not a graveyard. You need to be in a place that nurtures your becoming. You need exposure to greatness, to thinkers, to builders, to believers who don't flinch when you talk big, dream big, and move big. Surround yourself with people who make your faith rise, not shrink. People who ask you what you're building, not what you've been watching. People who remind you of your calling, not your convenience. The right environment doesn't make you feel safe. It makes you feel called out. And don't be fooled. Your physical environment is only part of the picture. Your internal environment matters even more. What thoughts are you planting? What words are you rehearsing? What memories are you feeding? Many people change cities but carry the same mindset. They move houses but still live in mental prisons. You can't shift your life if you don't shift your thinking. Your environment includes your mental atmosphere. What you meditate on becomes what you manifest. That's why you have to audit your inner world. Is your mind filled with excuses or execution? Is your heart cluttered with past pain or focused on future purpose? You must become a curator of your surroundings. Guard your gates. Watch your words. Protect your peace. Reevaluate your relationships. Because where you are positioned determines what you perceive. And what you perceive controls what you pursue. If you stay in small spaces too long, you'll stop dreaming of large ones. If you hang around people who tolerate mediocrity, you'll start calling average success. But you were not born to blend in. You were born to break out. God never plants greatness in neutral spaces. He places it in tension, pressure, and demand. If your environment doesn't place a demand on your gift, you will die with your potential still buried. Let your atmosphere stretch you. Let it push you to pray deeper, plan smarter, think higher. Let it provoke your excellence and stir your vision. The wrong environment will talk you out of what God already confirmed. But the right one will call you into what you haven't even imagined yet. And so, the call is simple. Watch your environment before it decides your outcome, because what you tolerate today will determine what you birth tomorrow. Shift your space, and you'll shift your story. The third key you must understand is this. Crisis is the birthplace of clarity. What shakes others is meant to shape you. You must stop seeing crisis as punishment and start recognizing it as preparation. Crisis does not come to break you. It comes to reveal you. It comes to expose what's real, what's weak, what's strong, and what must be removed. Crisis is a divine audit. It strips away the distractions, the illusions, the excuses, and leaves only what's essential. In the noise of daily comfort, you forget who you are. But in the silence of crisis, your true identity has a chance to speak. Watch this before it happens, because there is a shift coming that will require a different version of you. The you that makes decisions based on fear cannot lead in what's coming. The you that hides behind people's approval will collapse under pressure. The you that procrastinates, doubts, and hesitates will not be able to carry the weight of what God is about to release. That's why crisis shows up before elevation. It cleans the foundation. Crisis is a refining fire. It burns off what was never meant to go with you. The crisis you're trying to avoid is the very thing heaven is using to build you. Crisis is not just a moment of trouble. It is a moment of transition. It's a divine setup disguised as a setback, and those who are spiritually awake will not fear it. They will use it. They will lean into it. Because crisis creates space for reinvention. It tears down systems, structures, and schedules that no longer serve your assignment. It interrupts patterns that have become prisons. It removes the unnecessary so that you can focus on the non-negotiables. The people who survive crisis are not the strongest. They are the most clear. Clarity is more valuable than comfort. Clarity helps you say no. It helps you cut off what drains your energy. It helps you break toxic cycles. Clarity makes you dangerous to distractions, and crisis is often the only thing powerful enough to force you into that kind of focus. Without crisis, we tend to settle. We make peace with dysfunction. We lower our expectations. We choose survival over strategy, but crisis snatches the mask off of everything. It shows you the real state of your relationships, the real condition of your heart, the real weight of your calling. You cannot heal what you don't first confront, and crisis is confrontation. But here's the deeper truth. Crisis doesn't just reveal weakness, it reveals capacity. You didn't know how strong you were until life threw the blow. You didn't know how much faith you had until it was tested. You didn't know how resourceful you could be until the systems failed. Crisis will force you to dig deeper. It will activate what you didn't know was dormant. It will unlock levels of creativity, strategy, wisdom, and grit that were hidden under comfort. If you survive crisis with the right mindset, you emerge as a leader, not just of others, but of yourself. When people panic, the prepared rise. When people scatter, the focused step forward. Every crisis creates a gap, and that gap is where leaders are born. But if you don't see crisis through the right lens, you will miss your moment. You will call an opportunity a tragedy. You will retreat instead of rebuild. You will cry over what's leaving, not realizing it had to go for you to grow. You must learn to interpret pain correctly. Pain is a signal, not a sentence. It is there to teach you, to direct you, to elevate you. Look back at history. Every great movement, every breakthrough invention, every turning point in society was preceded by disruption. Disruption is not the enemy of progress. It is the catalyst. And while others wait for things to go back to normal, the visionary is already designing the future. The watcher is not surprised by crisis. They are trained by it. They have learned that storms don't come to stay. They come to shift. And if you're paying attention, you won't just survive the shaking. You'll emerge with strategy. This is why you must prepare before the storm. Because when the world is upside down, it's too late to decide who you are. You must already be rooted in your identity. You must already know your assignment. You must already be clear on your values. Otherwise, you will be tossed by every wave of uncertainty. But when you're grounded in truth, crisis cannot derail you. It will only reveal how deep your roots go. Crisis gives birth to clarity, and clarity births movement. In the stillness that crisis forces upon you, your real purpose can finally breathe. You start asking questions you ignored in busyness. You stop pretending. You see what actually matters, and when you come out of that fire, you're no longer chasing applause. You're chasing alignment. You're no longer busy. You're becoming, so don't just brace for impact. Prepare for insight. Don't just pray for protection. Ask for perception. What is this moment trying to teach you? What is it revealing that you've been ignoring? What is it awakening that comfort had put to sleep? Watch this before it happens, because if you can master clarity in crisis, you will not only survive what's coming, you'll lead others through it. The fourth key you must grasp is this: your life is not governed by time, it is governed by timing. There is a divine sequence to everything under heaven, and if you do not learn how to discern the timing of your season, you will sabotage what God designed to bless you. You can be in the right place with the right idea and still fail, because your timing was off. A seed planted in the wrong season won't bear fruit. A door opened too soon can crush you. A promotion received before maturity becomes a curse instead of a calling. Timing is everything, and those who learn to move with divine rhythm will always be in sync with breakthrough. Watch this before it happens, because timing is about to separate the watchers from the wanderers. There are shifts coming that will not give you time to prepare. They will require you to already be aligned. If you are waiting for a perfect moment, you have already missed it. The perfect moment is not something you wait for, it's something you recognize, and the only way you recognize it is by staying in tune with the one who created it. If you are too busy chasing noise, you will miss the whisper. If your soul is cluttered, you won't sense the green light when it comes. Timing is not just about action, it's about awareness. You must understand that every divine assignment has a window. That window does not stay open forever. If you delay too long, the favor will lift. The cloud will move. The grace for that moment will shift. You must know not only what to do, but when to do it. And often, the most dangerous word you can say is later. Later becomes never. Later becomes regret. Later becomes disobedience dressed in delay. When the timing of heaven aligns, hesitation is rebellion. You don't get to negotiate divine seasons. You either move or you miss. Timing requires sensitivity. You must train your spirit to listen beyond logic. What seems inconvenient in the natural may be urgent in the spirit. Some of the greatest moments in your life will not come with a loud announcement. They'll show up like a whisper. A quiet conviction, a sudden push, an unexplained peace. And if you are not paying attention, you will rationalize your way out of obedience. Timing won't always make sense to your intellect. It won't always match your calendar. It won't always fit your mood, but it will always be right. One of the reasons people stay stuck is because they are loyal to old timing. They are still operating in cycles that expired, still watering relationships that have already been pruned, still holding on to assignments that ended 2 seasons ago. But what used to work can become your weight. And what used to feed you can start draining you if you don't let go when the time is up. God does not bless what he is no longer in. When the cloud moves, the blessing moves with it. So many people are busy asking God to bless their plan, when heaven is waiting for them to align with the new timing. What was divine last season may be disobedience this season. Timing also requires courage, because divine moments often demand sudden movement. When the door opens, you don't get time to gather everybody's opinion. You won't have time to hold a meeting. You won't be able to carry everyone with you. There will be moments when the only thing you can take with you is obedience, and those who are too addicted to comfort will always miss their divine cue. Movement is a form of faith. You show God you trust him not by what you say, but by how fast you respond. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. This is why you must become a student of the moment. You must learn to interpret seasons, study patterns, watch shifts, ask questions like, what is this season asking of me? What is being pruned and what is being planted? What doors are closing, not out of punishment, but out of protection? Sometimes God shuts things down because he's trying to start something better, but you'll only see it if your timing is clear. The signs are there, but you have to be watching. Everything in nature flows by timing. The tide, the harvest, the sunrise. You are no different. If your spirit is out of rhythm with divine timing, you will constantly feel off, frustrated, and unfulfilled. And don't confuse movement with progress. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're aligned. Some people are out of sync but still active. They're building, but they're building in the wrong season. They're pursuing, but not what's been assigned. That's why discernment is more powerful than ambition. Timing is more important than speed. You don't need to move faster. You need to move when. One moment of right timing can accelerate years of delay. One yes at the right moment can unlock what 10 years of hard work never could. Divine timing carries favor that your flesh can't manufacture. You are not late. You are not behind, but you must watch. Because when the window opens, it won't open forever. You must have the faith to move, the discipline to wait, the wisdom to discern, and the humility to listen. Timing is heaven's language, and if you tune your ear to it, you will stop striving and start flowing. Not everyone will understand your timing, but that's okay. When heaven confirms it, you don't need earthly validation. Watch this before it happens, because those who can hear the rhythm of God's timing will not only walk into what's next, they will own it. The fifth key is this: everything you need is already in you, but it must be activated. Destiny is not something you wait for, it is something you wake up. You were not born empty. You came fully loaded, packed with vision, creativity, wisdom, resilience, and divine gifts designed for a specific assignment. But the tragedy of life is not death. It's dying full, dying with your books still unwritten, your songs unsung, your solutions unbirthed, your voice unheard. The graveyard is full of potential that never became reality, not because people weren't gifted, but because they never activated what they carried. Watch this before it happens, because the season is changing. And in this new season, excuses will not qualify you. Talent alone will not sustain you. Charisma will not carry you. The question now is, have you activated what God placed inside you? You are not waiting on a sign. You are waiting on yourself. Waiting on the boldness to begin. Waiting on the courage to speak. Waiting on the discipline to dig. The miracle is not in the ground. The miracle is in the seed. But unless the seed breaks open, the harvest never comes. Most people admire greatness, but few realize that greatness doesn't come from outside. It is forged within. The problem is not absence, it is dormancy. What's in you is asleep, and it's waiting for your agreement. Nothing changes until you decide to unlock what's already there. God will not do for you what He put in you the power to do. You keep asking heaven for a door, and heaven is waiting on you to build it. You keep waiting for a voice to tell you to go, and God is asking you, what did I already place in your hands? Moses had a rod. David had a slingshot. The widow had oil. What do you have? Stop calling yourself unqualified when you haven't even opened your inventory. There is more in you than you have used. You've only scratched the surface. You've only tapped 10% of your capacity. Your potential isn't waiting on money, approval, or the right conditions. It's waiting on movement. And movement doesn't start when you feel ready. It starts when you obey. We are in a time where the difference between those who thrive and those who fall behind won't be talent. It will be activation. Those who stirred their gift, sharpened it, practiced it, protected it, deployed it. Those who refused to settle for convenience when they were called to create. If you do not stir the gift, life will leave you stuck. If you do not activate your purpose, time will pass and you will mistake motion for momentum. But deep inside you'll know, I didn't give birth to what I carried. Activation is not an emotional moment. It's a daily discipline. It's a decision to no longer sit on the sidelines of your own story. It's a refusal to outsource responsibility for your growth. You can't keep blaming your upbringing, your lack of support, or your current struggle. The truth is, most people don't fail from lack of opportunity. They fail from lack of intention. You must become violent with your comfort zone, ruthless with your distractions, relentless in your becoming. What's in you won't activate until you move. God will always call out what's hidden in you by putting a demand on it. That's why pressure is often the signal. Pressure pushes out the purpose. Crisis pulls on your creativity. Opposition reveals your oil. Don't curse the tension. It's heaven's way of saying there's more in you. but you'll never see it if you run from every challenge, hide from every responsibility, and silence your own voice to fit in. You were never meant to fit in. You were designed to stand out by doing the very thing others are too afraid to begin. So now you must ask yourself, what gift have I ignored because it wasn't affirmed by others? What skill have I buried under self-doubt? What solution have I been carrying that the world needs, but I've been too scared to release? When will I finally stop waiting for validation and start walking in revelation? You are already enough. You are already capable. You are already equipped. Activation is not about getting something new. It's about using what's already yours. This is the hour where the hidden must become visible. The unknown must become undeniable. The silent must speak. The buried must rise. There is no more time to delay, no more luxury of postponing purpose. While you're overthinking, others are overtaking. While you're questioning your qualifications, the world is aching for your gift. Someone's breakthrough is locked inside your obedience. Someone's clarity is waiting on your courage. You don't need another confirmation. You need to act. This is not the season for passivity. This is the season for boldness. What you've been carrying was not meant to stay within. It was meant to be manifested. Your voice, your gift, your creativity. Your perspective, your oil. The world does not need more copies. It needs the real you, unfiltered, unedited, unapologetic, the authentic version of you that refuses to die full. Watch this before it happens, because if you don't activate what's in you now, you may never see what could have been. But if you do, everything changes. The sixth key is this. The enemy of your future is not always the devil, it's often your memory. Too many people are walking forward while looking backward. They are dragging dead seasons into living ones, rehearsing pain that's already been past, clinging to expired identities and letting their past set the limit on their progress. What happened to you was real. The betrayal, the loss, the failure, the shame, but it was never supposed to become your identity. You were meant to pass through it, not build a house in it. There is no future in your past, and if you don't release what's behind you, you'll never take hold of what's ahead of you. Watch this before it happens, because what's coming will require your full attention, your full focus, your full energy. You cannot carry new wine in old skins. You cannot enter new territory with an old mindset. You cannot receive what's next if your hands are still full of what used to be. The past is a teacher, not a master. Learn from it, but don't let it lead you. You are not the same person who walked through that pain. You are not the failure you experienced. You are not the mistake you made. You are becoming, not retreating. But the process of becoming will cost you your history if you want to claim your destiny. People keep waiting for a new season while living like they're still in the old one. But a season doesn't just change around you, it has to change in you. It has to shift your thinking, your language, your habits, your beliefs. You can't keep speaking death and expect to walk into life. You can't keep thinking small and expect to move into something big. You can't keep rehearsing who left you, what hurt you, and how it didn't work, and still expect to walk in freedom. At some point you have to release it. Mourn what you must. Acknowledge what happened, but do not let it have power over your direction anymore. Some of you are not stuck because you lack opportunity. You're stuck because you're loyal to your last chapter. You've tied your identity to something God already closed. You've built an altar to a moment that was only meant to be a lesson. And until you let it go, you will keep cycling through the same year in different clothing. The names change, the jobs change, the places change, but the pattern is the same because your memory is still in control. You've made peace with bondage, and you've called it normal. But what's normal for your history cannot be normal for your destiny. There is a moment in every journey where you must decide to cut the cord, to cancel the agreement you made with pain, to stop watering the roots of your own regret. And that moment is not emotional, it's intentional. It's a choice to move forward even if your feelings are still catching up. Your feelings are not always the facts, and your memory will lie to you. It will remind you of the fall but not the recovery. It will play the rejection on repeat and mute the survival. It will tell you the worst part of the story and never show you how far you've already come. The enemy knows if he can't destroy your future, he'll distract you with your past. He'll replay that one decision, that one loss, that one season of pain until it becomes your whole narrative. He'll have you rehearsing it so often that you begin to defend your dysfunction. You start believing your own chains are too strong to break. But freedom doesn't come when you feel different. Freedom comes when you decide to believe the truth over the memory. You can't rewrite your history, but you can change its influence. And if you don't, your potential becomes a prisoner to what you refuse to release. The truth is, you survived what tried to kill you. You made it through what others didn't. You cried, yes. But you're still standing. You lost people. But you didn't lose purpose. The plan for your life is still intact. You are not damaged goods. You are not beyond repair. But you must stop idolizing what was. You must stop building your future from the bricks of disappointment. What hurt you is not worthy of another year of your energy. You cannot bleed into every room and call it passion. You cannot shrink to stay familiar and call it humility. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to be free. Forgiveness is not about approval. It's about alignment. You don't forgive so they can move on. You forgive so you can move on. You release the weight so your feet can finally move. Because what's ahead of you will not wait for you to catch up. The window is open, but not forever. The promise is available, but not automatic. You must walk out of what was to walk into what will be. The wilderness was real, but it's not permanent. Egypt was familiar, but it was never your home. God doesn't just bring you out, He calls you forward. But you must stop answering to a name that no longer fits who you are. Watch this before it happens, because what's coming doesn't have room for your history to have the steering wheel. What's coming needs the healed version of you. The focused version, the awakened version, the free version, not the one still hoping the past turns out differently. You can't change what happened, but you can choose what happens next. So now the question is not, will it happen? It's already happening. The shift is already in motion. The doors are already cracking open. The alignments are being formed. The old is breaking. The new is rising. This is not the time to sleep on your life. This is not the season to hesitate. This is the moment you were born for. The alarm has sounded. You've heard the truth. You've seen the signs. Now it's on you. Will you rise or will you return? Will you obey or will you explain? Will you activate or will you keep waiting for permission? Everything you need is already in you. Everything God promised is still possible. But you will not enter it passively. You must move. You must decide. You must release. Because what's coming will not be delayed for your convenience. It will require your clarity, your courage, and your conviction. Watch this before it happens. Not to be entertained, but to be awakened. Because after this, you can't say you didn't know. After this, you can't claim you weren't warned. This word is a mirror, a map, and a match. Now go set fire to the things you were born to change.